What would you say if a cop leaned into your window and asked, "Is this your car?" If you answer the wrong way, you can hand them evidence with your own mouth. And once those words are on body cam, pulling them back in court gets very hard. Hit subscribe right now because what I'm about to show you could save your case before it even starts. Like this video too, because under stress you forget fast, and you need these lines burned into your memory. That one question sounds harmless, it sounds small, it sounds like basic conversation, but it's often the doorway to something much bigger. A search, a longer stop, a claim that you admitted control over everything inside that car. Let me show you exactly how one simple answer can turn into a giant problem, and how a calm reply can shut that whole path down. You're about to learn the exact sentence to use when they ask about the car, the line that blocks consent searches, the question that stops fishing trips, and the mistake that makes innocent drivers look guilty. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and the same pattern keeps showing up. Drivers talk too much, they try to sound helpful, they try to explain, then those words get used against them. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings, and if you stay with me, you'll hear the plain English version you can actually remember in real life. Now let's talk about why this matters so much. During a traffic stop, your mouth can do more damage than anything in your glove box. Most people have no idea that officers are trained to ask simple questions that feel casual but build a case piece by piece. Where are you coming from? Whose car is this? Do you have anything illegal in here? Every answer gives them something. Maybe it ties you to the car. Maybe it locks you into a story. Maybe it creates a reason to say your answers sounded nervous, weird, or inconsistent. Here's the reality. You do have to handle the basic stop. You hand over your license, registration, and proof of insurance when required, but you do not have to turn a traffic stop into a free interview. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because silence is harder to twist than talking. Your goal is not to win an argument on the roadside. Your goal is to give them as little extra evidence as possible. So if they ask, "Is this your car?" your first move is not to lie, and it is not to start explaining. Your first move is to separate your required documents from your optional words. Here's exactly what you say. "Officer, I'll provide my license, registration, and insurance, but I'm not answering questions." Word for word. Memorize that line. It is calm, it is short, it is clean, and it does two important things at once. First, you show you're cooperating with the legal part of the stop. Second, you stop volunteering admissions they can use later. Why does this work? Because ownership and control matter in court. If something illegal is found in a car, prosecutors often try to prove you knew it was there or had control over it. Your own statement can help them do that. If you instantly say, "Yeah, it's my car," that can sound tiny in the moment, but later it becomes one more brick in the wall. They can say, "You admitted the car was yours, you admitted control, you admitted the stuff inside was under your care." Even if that is not the whole story, you just help them start building one. Bad way, most drivers say, "Yeah, it's mine," or "It's my buddy's, but I use it all the time." Then that statement gets played back in court and tied to everything found inside. Good way. Smart drivers say, "Officer, I'll provide my license, registration, and insurance, but I'm not answering questions." Then they comply with documents but stop feeding the case. Listen closely because this is critical. This does not mean you fake confusion. It does not mean you hide documents. It does not mean you get cute. You stay polite. You move slowly. You keep your hands visible. If your registration is in the glove box, you say that before reaching, but you do not turn yourself into a witness against yourself. The legal backup matters here. In Berkemer v. McCarty, the Supreme Court made clear that routine roadside questioning can produce statements that get used later. In plain English, traffic stop talk is still evidence even when the stop feels casual. That means your friendly answers are not just friendly. They can end up in a report, on camera, and in front of a judge. Here's the reality. A lot of people think rights only start after handcuffs or after Miranda. That is not how real life works on the roadside. Former police officers have confirmed this works because officers know short, polite refusals leave them less to work with. And one more thing, never lie. Never make up a fake owner. Never say the car is stolen or borrowed if it is not. That can create a whole new mess. Your power is not in lying better. Your power is in saying less. Saying less is not rude. This is 100% legal. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection when the question is designed to get you talking. Have you ever heard that question during a stop? Drop a comment below and tell me if you would have answered it differently before this video. Now let's go to the next line, because this is where stops go from annoying to dangerous fast. If the officer starts asking to look around, or asks something like, "You don't mind if I check the car, right?" you need a clear refusal. You do not argue. You do not give a speech. You do not say, "I mean, I guess if you want." Here's exactly what you say. "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." Those exact 8 words. Memorize them. This line matters because consent is one of the easiest shortcuts around your protections. If you say yes or even mumble something that sounds like yes, you can make the search much harder to fight later. Officers know this. That's why the request often sounds casual. They may smile, they may act like it's routine, they may say, if you've got nothing to hide, why not? Here's the trick they don't want you knowing. You do not need to prove innocence by giving up your rights. Refusing consent does not create guilt, it preserves your defense. Bad way, most drivers say, sure, go ahead, I've got nothing to hide. Then the search becomes something they agreed to, and their lawyer has a much harder time attacking it later. Good way, smart drivers say, officer, I do not consent to any searches. Then if a search happens anyway, the record shows they never agreed to it. Watch what happens when drivers skip this line. The officer asks once. The driver hesitates. The officer asks again in a softer voice. The driver shrugs and says, okay. That shrug can be enough to become consent. That one weak answer can wipe out a huge part of the legal fight later. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because it draws a bright line. Either you consented or you did not. Your job is to make that crystal clear. Now for the legal backup. In Knowles v. Iowa, the Supreme Court said officers cannot do a full search of a car just because they issued a traffic citation. In plain English, a simple ticket does not magically open your whole vehicle. And in Arizona v. Gant, the court narrowed when police can search a car after an arrest. In plain English, an arrest alone does not mean they get to rummage through everything. These cases matter because they show a basic rule. Police need a real legal reason to search, or they need your consent. If you hand over consent, you hand over the shortcut. That is why your tone matters. You stay calm, you stay respectful, you say the line once, maybe twice, if needed. Officer, I do not consent to any searches. Then stop talking. Do not fill the silence. Do not explain why. Do not say, it's just that my cousin had a bad experience. The more you talk, the more angles you create. Let me show you exactly how clean this can be. Short refusal, no debate, no drama, just a clear record. And yes, refusing consent can feel scary. You may worry it will make them mad. You may worry it makes you look guilty, but rights are often uncomfortable in the moment. That does not make them wrong. Refusing consent is calm, simple, and this is 100% legal. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings, and smart drivers know the goal is not to seem extra nice. The goal is to avoid giving away what the law still protects. The third move matters when the stop starts dragging. Maybe the officer already ran your license. Maybe the ticket is done. Maybe you've been standing there while they keep fishing with new questions. This is where a lot of people freeze because they do not know if they are allowed to leave. You look at the officer and say this, am I being detained or am I free to leave? Those exact 10 words. Say them calmly, not angry, not sarcastic, calm and clear. This question is powerful because it forces the stop into focus. A traffic stop is supposed to be about the traffic issue, not a never-ending roadside interview, not a delay while they wait for a dog just because they feel like it. If the legal reason for the stop is over, they need a new legal reason to keep you there. Your question makes that moment matter. Bad way. Most drivers say, I guess I'll just wait, or do whatever you need to do. Then the stop drifts longer and the officer gets extra time to build suspicion. Good way. Smart drivers say, am I being detained or am I free to leave? Then the officer has to either let them go or make a clear legal choice on the record. The case you need here is Rodriguez v. United States. The Supreme Court said police cannot extend a traffic stop beyond the time needed for the traffic mission unless they have a separate legal reason. In plain English, once the ticket work should be done, they cannot add extra time just to go fishing. That is huge, because a lot of bad stops turn on time. Just 2 more minutes. Just a few more questions. Just wait here while another unit comes. That extra time can be the whole case. Watch what happens when a driver uses this line the right way. The officer realizes the stop now has a clock and a record. If there is no extra reason to hold the driver, the officer often wraps it up. If the officer does claim a reason, your lawyer now has a cleaner issue to fight later. That matters. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection against the endless roadside stall tactic. There is one warning, though. Do not confuse this question with a magic spell. It does not make every stop end on the spot. If the officer has lawful grounds to keep you, they may say, yes, you are being detained. Fine. You do not argue. You do not yank your door open and leave. You stay put. But now the moment is clear, and clear moments are better than vague ones when cases get reviewed later. Former police officers have confirmed this works because once drivers ask the right question, sloppy extra delay gets harder to hide. 90% of drivers don't know what's coming next. If you're still here, you're already ahead of the game. Drop a comment saying I'm still here, because the next move is the one people mess up under pressure. Now let's cover the part where many drivers sabotage themselves by resisting the wrong thing. If an officer lawfully tells you to step out of the car, do not turn that into a fight. You can protect your rights without refusing a lawful order. Here's exactly what you say. I will step out and comply. I do not consent to searches, and I'm not answering questions. That line keeps the physical part calm while protecting the legal part. This matters because people mix up two different things. One is physical compliance, the other is verbal consent. You can comply with an order to step out without consenting to a search. You can stand on the sidewalk without giving up your rights. Pennsylvania v. Mimms is the key case here. The Supreme Court said an officer can order the driver out of the car during a lawful stop. In plain English, you usually do not win by arguing about the sidewalk. You protect yourself by obeying the physical command and refusing the extra stuff. That way, most drivers say, I'm not getting out unless you have a warrant. Then the stop turns physical, emotions spike, and everything gets worse. Good way. Smart drivers say, I will step out and comply. I do not consent to searches, and I'm not answering questions. Then they keep the scene safe while preserving the record. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and this is where panic takes over. Drivers think every no has to be a hard no to everything. It doesn't. You do not need to resist a lawful order to protect your case. You need to separate what they can make you do from what they want you to volunteer. That difference is huge. One keeps you safe, the other keeps your rights alive. And if they start chatting while you're outside the car, remember the pattern. They may act friendlier now. They may ask, so whose car is it really? Or if there's nothing inside, why not let me check? Same answer, same calm tone, same short lines. Your power comes from consistency, not cleverness, not speeches, not anger. So now you've got the full framework. You do the required basics. You do not volunteer ownership admissions. You refuse consent clearly. You ask if you are free to leave when the stop stretches. You comply with lawful orders to step out, but you do not turn that into permission to search or question you. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings, and it works because it keeps the stop narrow. Let's tie the cases together in simple English. Berkemer v. McCarty reminds you that roadside answers can still become evidence, so your casual words matter. Knowles v. Iowa says a ticket alone does not open your whole car to a full search. Arizona v. Gant says even after an arrest, police do not automatically get to search every part of the vehicle. Pennsylvania v. Mimms says officers can usually make you step out during a lawful stop, so do not fight the exit order. And Rodriguez v. Berkemer, United States says they cannot stretch the stop longer than needed just to investigate something else without a real legal reason. Here's the reality. None of these cases mean you win by being loud. They mean you win by being precise. Short words, clear refusal, calm questions, no extra admissions. And quick note, this is general education, not personal legal advice. If you ever face a real case, talk to a lawyer in your state. Now picture the real stop. You're driving home at night. Lights flash behind you. You pull over safely. The officer walks up and says, you rolled a stop sign. Then comes the question. Is this your car? Wrong way first. You panic. You say, yeah, it's mine. Well, technically it's my cousin's, but I use it every day. I was just coming from my friend's place. I'm in a hurry. Now you've done 3 bad things fast. You admitted control, you started a story, you opened new questions. Then the officer says, mind if I take a quick look? You shrug and say, I guess that's fine. Now the search is based on your consent. Then after the ticket is basically done, you just stand there while the officer keeps talking and waiting. The stop stretches, more questions come, more answers pile up. Your own mouth became the engine of the whole case. Now the right way. Same stop, same lights, same question. Is this your car? You keep your hands visible and say, officer, I'll provide my license, registration, and insurance, but I'm not answering questions. The officer asks to search. You say, officer, I do not consent to any searches. The officer keeps talking after the traffic work should be done. You ask, am I being detained or am I free to leave? If told to step out, you say, I will step out and comply. I do not consent to searches and I'm not answering questions. That is it. No speech, no lies, no attitude. Just clean lines. Watch what happens. Either the stop stays narrow and ends, or the officer chooses to push further without your consent. If that happens, your defense is stronger because the record is cleaner. That is the difference between helping the case against you and protecting the case for you. Next week, I'm revealing what to say when cops claim they smell weed. Subscribe right now so you don't miss it, because that claim gets used to justify searches all the time and you need the exact response ready before it happens to you. So lock in the 4 big points. First, when they ask if it's your car, give documents, not admissions. Second, if they ask to search, say, officer, I do not consent to any searches. Third, if the stop keeps dragging, ask, am I being detained or am I free to leave? Fourth, if they order you out, comply physically but keep your rights verbally. Short lines beat long explanations every single time. Your goal is not to sound smart. Your goal is to leave less evidence behind. Hit subscribe so you catch the next video on smell-based searches. Smash that like button if this script just gave you words you can actually use. And drop a comment telling me which line you're memorizing first. Stay safe out there.